Hello, good afternoon. Can everyone hear me? If you can hear me, kindly give me a thumbs up or maybe post a confirmation. Your mics are deactivated. All right. So I have activated your microphones with the expectation that you probably will mute yourselves to avoid any feedback from your background interfering with the discussion we're going to have today. Okay, so it's past midday. Let me set the ball rolling. My name is Emmanuel Potufi. I am the managing consultant for Astute Business Consulting. This program has been put together to provide the necessary support for SMEs across Ghana specifically to be able to facilitate their growth by implementing the principles and standards of a globally accepted standard of doing business, which is the ISO 9001 2015 standard. It's focused on customer satisfaction. This is the second session in a series of training sessions we are providing for free to all willing participants. It's targeted at helping business institutions in Ghana grow through ISO 9001. We had an initial maiden session 2 weeks ago where we introduced the entire concept of ISO to our participants on the day. We shared a recording of the session on our YouTube channel and then via WhatsApp for those of us who are part of our WhatsApp group. This, as promised from that meeting, is a continuation of our series. From the last meeting, we indicated there are about 10 sections of the standard that we are going to cover, and we are starting with the first of those sections being clause 4 of the standard. For the benefit of those who were not with us the last time, I'm going to through a few of the key areas that we touched upon in our last meeting so you can be abreast with what went on the last time. All right, so the focus of this is facilitating SME growth by helping SMEs apply the ISO 9001 standard in their businesses. And my name is Emmanuel Potufi. All right, so let's set the ball rolling. So, first of all, what is ISO 9001? We discussed the last time that it's an internationally recognized standard for quality management, i.e., QMS. We explained the last time that there are global standards of doing business across various spectrums. There is quality management, there is health and safety management, there is environmental management, there is food quality management, there is IT security management, among others. All these focuses or all these areas have specific standards that apply to enhance efficient and successful management. And these have been consolidated into various standards that are christened by various codes. What we have on our table today is called ISO 9001, which is one of these numerous standards focused on quality management, customer satisfaction. All right, so that is a bit of a background for those of us who are not part of us the last time. So what is ISO 9001 once again? ISO 9001, as it's written here, is an internationally recognized standard for quality management. The standard was developed by an international body called International Organization for Standardization. Like I was saying before, they have numerous standards focused on numerous areas of business. What we are doing today, ISO 9001 2015, is focused on customer satisfaction and quality management. So it goes on to say it provides a framework for organizations. It provides a framework for organizations to implement robust quality management processes and improve overall performance. So the ISO standard helps organizations put together very effective quality processes, i.e., the way they go about carrying out work in the organization are more efficient and more of a quality nature through ISO 9001. And by doing this, the overall performance of your business organization gets to be improved massively by rolling out the standard. And like I mentioned before, it focuses on customer satisfaction. One, it allows for continual improvement and facilitates risk based thinking. So, these are three areas of impact of ISO 9001. You get to satisfy your customers better when you run the system in your company. It allows you to continually improve your ways of doing things, i.e., because you identify the areas of improvement, the areas that need correction, the error prone areas in your organization, the non conforming areas of your organization. You are able to address these issues and then continually improve your ways of doing things. Then, by implementing ISO, businesses can enhance customer satisfaction. Yeah, that is the key concept of this. And you can achieve operational efficiency. Your operations become more robust and efficient when you implement this standard. When you implement this standard. And then also, you're able to demonstrate commitment to quality. Yeah, you're able to demonstrate commitment to quality by implementing the standard. The demonstration of commitment to quality becomes key to external stakeholders who you would be doing business with and who you would have to identify, and which we will discuss as we go along this presentation. Okay, so then let's go on to the next slide. So the benefits of implementing ISO 9001. The benefits of implementing ISO 9001. Um, I have identified the various clauses of the ISO standard. Yeah, clause 4, clause 5, clause 6, 7 through to 10. And for each clause, I have specified what exactly the benefits derived from the standard is. So every clause, when I say clause, I mean every chapter. Our Constitution of Ghana has various clauses and all that. It's a similar, sorry, articles. It's a similar concept we have for the ISO standard. When I say ISO standard, don't be confused. Some people regularly tend to be. A standard for ISO is just a book of a sort. It's more like a set of regulations that have been documented and is available for reading for application in organizations. So the standard has been documented and printed out in a book that every organization can have access to wherever they are to apply in their companies. So for the benefits of implementing the standard, clause 4. Clause 4 gives you the benefits, clause 4, which is what you are going to look at today, gives you the benefit of having a very comprehensive understanding of your business and its environment. So when you implement this clause, as we will discuss, you would get a very good understanding of your business, the internal workings of your business. You would have a very broad understanding of it, identify scopes or areas of your business that you may not necessarily have known about before. And then also the external environment, all the various interactions in the industry that you may not necessarily have thought about or have planned against. You'll get to identify them, and then you can make effective decisions having identified them to protect yourself or your organization, and then manage the risks associated most effectively. Yeah. Then we go on to clause 5, which is on leadership. Clause 5, when you are able to deploy clause 5 in your company effectively, you are able to get your top management, your C-level management, your board on board, and then you're able to drive a culture of quality right from the top. So when the leadership of the organization is wholly involved in the standard, they are able to run the standard and its principles right from the board level down to the least person in the organization. And the benefit of doing this is allows you to set clear objectives and then foster employee participation. So when everybody across the organizational level is involved in applying the standard, you are able to set clear objectives in the organization and then facilitates the participation of employees in running the organization according to the standard that is being deployed. All right. Then planning, clause 6. It allows you to develop strategic plans, set quality objectives, and establish processes to achieve them. When you apply ISO 9001 in your organization, it allows you to plan better in your organization. It allows you to develop better strategic plans for your organization. It allows you to set proper objectives for your organization, objectives that you can work towards meeting to grow the organization. And then it allows you to establish processes to achieve these objectives. So you establish the objectives, and then you are able to document or create processes that you can follow to be able to achieve these objectives that you'll be helped to establish in the organization. Then clause 7 talks about support. It allows you to identify the necessary resources in the organization, first of all, resources such as competent personnel, finances, infrastructure, machinery. Clause 7 puts together a framework that allows you to identify all these resources and then deploy effective communication mechanisms in the organization, and then also help you to achieve the acquisition of these resources by drawing out most effective plans that allows you to maximize the resources. Then clause 8 talks about operation. Operation is just the process of transforming the inputs to your process into outputs. Operations allows you to identify the various key activities in your organization, and then you're able to describe how you go about carrying out these key activities, what resources you require in carrying out these key activities, who is supposed to do the key activities, what steps are involved in the key activities, what results you are expecting at the end of executing each step in this key activity. So clause 8 talking about operations is quite robust, and then the operations that are carried out in clause 8 are essentially geared towards helping you meet your customer requirements, because operations is where you're able to transform the inputs into outputs that the customers are looking forward to acquiring to satisfy their insatiable needs. Then performance evaluation. After carrying out all these activities, you are expected to evaluate your performance periodically. So you are expected to monitor the work you are doing, measure the results generated from the work you are doing. You analyze the results that you get from the measurement that you have carried out, and then you evaluate the results and take decisions on what to improve, what not to improve, what to add, what to take out of your processes, and all that. It also involves collecting feedback from your customers through various customer engagement processes, feedbacks, surveys, interviews, and all that. And then finally, you're able to take actions to improve your operations after undertaking this performance evaluation process. Then The end result of doing all of this is improvement. You get to improve various aspects of your business. You identify opportunities in your business that you can really improve to grow your business organization. So these are clause by clause benefits of implementing ISO 9001 in your organization. Now let's look at more practical benefits of implementing the standard. First of all, it allows you to enhance customer satisfaction by deploying ISO in your organization. You allow the benefits of consistently meeting what your customers require from you, deliver their requirements, deliver on their expectations. And once you do that, you build customer loyalty, your company brand grows, everybody gets to know about you because word of mouth referrals get boosted immensely and all that. So that is a very key benefit of implementing ISO 9001, and that is the main benefit of implementing this specific 9001 standard. Also, it allows you to improve the efficiency of your processes. Once you document your processes, you identify the processes first of all, you document them, you get to streamline the process. By streamlining, what I mean is any aspect of your processes that is a waste, you are able to identify them and then discard them or remove them, and then you get to save resources, because cost that you'd have been incurring in having these aspects of your processes running, you would get to eliminate these costs once you cut out these processes or these aspects of your businesses from the entire system. As we go along, I'll give practical examples so that you can really understand what we are talking about. It's meant to be very practical to allow for easy understanding, because the concepts in this is quite high level. If you're not too careful, you get lost in all the interactions. So I've tried to make it as practical as possible with numerous examples. Then another practical benefit is effective risk management. By rolling out ISO 9001 in your organization, you are able to identify the various risks that your organization faces. You are able to deploy mitigation measures to curtail these risks, and you become more proactive in managing issues in your organization. Because you would have had a risk management system operating in your organization, you get the benefit of being proactive. You are able to identify potential risk with various sections of your business, and then you take action to eliminate these risks before they become major debilitating issues in the company. Then compliance with regulations. A lot of businesses in Ghana do not know the kind of laws that govern the kind of business that they do. And what I've experienced, there's a lot of businesses start operating without knowing their responsibilities towards GRA specifically, and they will operate for a few years. And then when it gets to the point where they feel the need or something comes across that necessitates that they regularize their status with GRA, then when they go there to GRA, they are slapped with enormous bills, which will be made up of penalties from previous compliances that they failed to meet. They probably failed to file some returns over the years, and this become hefty bills that they have to pay in the end. Apart from GRA, there are other regulatory bodies in Ghana that monitor and supervise the kind of work that gets done in the sector you operate in. So it's necessary that through ISO you identify all these compliances that you need to meet, what they are expecting of you, how frequently you are supposed to meet their requirements, and how to go about it. All these you have to write. You have to write, plug in into your calendars, have reminder systems, among all others. Then access to new markets. And the last time we met, I explained that when you have ISO running in your organization, and most importantly, when you have a certification from a regulatory body that um, validates or proves that you are compliant with the standards, you actually open to a lot of business opportunities that you probably hitherto would not have been able to access. Having a certificate from a regulatory body that has come to audit your organization and proven that you really are operating according to the standard will open doors for you that you never could have imagined. You get to bid for contracts that were initially beyond your reach. Then employee engagement, which is the last benefit you are considering. ISO allows you to have a culture of quality in your organization because you are operating now according to an international standard. The level of quality that your employees apply to the kind of work that you do grows immensely. They treat everything that goes on with their work from a different perspective. Their thinking changes because they are not operating like they were in their own way or in a traditionally ineffective way, but are operating now according to an international standard that global entities or global institutions work by. So these are the key benefits of the standard. And the hope is that this initiative of educating the Ghanaian business community to apply this standard will have the desired impact that we are all seeking. So that at the end of the day, businesses will grow, business owners will limit their struggle for growth because they would have created an automated system that facilitates their growth. And they probably can step out of the business and then the business will run without them. All right. So let's look at the context of the organization proper. This is clause 4 of the standard. Clause 4 of ISO or part 4 of ISO 9001 focuses on context of the organization. You will understand organization but may not understand context. So context is the scope within which the organization operates. When I say scope, what I mean is an organization, or let's compare two banks or two financial institutions. Let me say, let's compare EcoBank with maybe Adeshiman Savings and Loans. Okay, these are both financial institutions, but the context within which they are operating is different. EcoBank is operating as a deposit taking financial institution. Yeah, Adeshiman is also operating as a deposit taking financial institution, but the license EcoBank operates with is a commercial banking license. Adeshiman operates as a microfinance company. The target market of EcoBank is different from the target market of Adeshiman. The volume of clientele and then the value of banking transactions EcoBank undertakes is different from what Adeshiman undertakes. Essentially, the space within which the two institutions are operating differs, and it is important to identify and understand the space within which you are operating as a business entity so that you carry out your activities according to what the space dictates. You don't go fishing in waters that you don't have the strength to fish into. You don't go structuring your organization according to how MTN or EcoBank will structure its organization because their focuses and then their contexts are different. What I've done so far is to give you an introduction to what context is from a literary perspective. But from the perspective of the ISO standard, we are going to look at exactly what they mean by context. The principle is the same, the space within which you are operating, but the specific things that you are supposed to look at within that space to plan or run your organization by, we are going to properly look at. So When we say context of the organization, let's look at the purpose of examining the context of your organization. Once you do or establish the context of your organization, you document, you write it, and communicate it effectively, you get a very good understanding of your business. Yeah. And then you get to know what affects your business. Once you get to know what affects your business, you can strategize against the adverse effects of these and then strategize to take advantage of the opportunities that there are. Okay. Now, when you are doing context of the organization, the things you have to remember and then take care of are four. You have to identify the key stakeholders, the key stakeholders with which you are operating. You'll have to identify them. And then once you identify these key stakeholders, you need to know what they need from your organization. So, as a business, you need to know who the key stakeholders are and then understand what these key stakeholders need from your organization. Technically speaking, we call them interested parties. Yeah, we call them interested parties because what your organization does is of interest to them. So you need to know what interest they have in your organization. And once you do that, you can plan towards meeting or fulfilling their interest towards your organization. That's the first key task with context of the organization. The next key task is to define the scope of your QMS. So the scope of your QMS means the scope within which you operate. We need to define which parts of your organization that the QMS will cover. When I say QMS, I mean the ISO standard. We need to define which aspects of your organization that this standard will cover because when you are applying or when you're implementing ISO in your organization, it's not always the case that every part of your organization will be affected by the standard, or every part of your organization will have to change because of this new standard that you are applying. For instance, a manufacturing company specifies that its QMS will cover only the production, assembly, and packaging process, but exclude the maintenance department. So, if you are a manufacturing company, for instance, you could decide that this ISO system that you are applying in your organization, you're only going to apply it to the production department, your assembly unit, your packaging process, but you are not going to apply it to your maintenance department. Or you could say you are going to apply it to every department except your accounts department because they, as an accounts department, work under an international financial management system, IFRS, and others. But really, the concepts of the ISO is applicable across every department, but depending on the unique circumstance of your department, you could leave out certain areas of your organization that you feel that are not relevant for the standard. However, the question is that you have to be able to justify why these aspects of your organization are not going to be affected by the standard. And the justification is most important when you want to get certification. So when auditors come from an external organization that is not a part of your organization, they don't work in your organization, so they don't really understand the intricacies of your organization. If you tell such an external person that you have implemented the standard across all aspects of your organization except department A and B, you need to be able to convince them about why you decided to take out these departments. So it's not as straightforward as that. Then the fourth thing is it allows you to analyze the internal and external factors that affect your business. Every business is affected by internal and external issues. You need to be able to know what these internal issues that affect your business are. And then once you know them, you have to be able to deploy plans or mitigation plans that will allow you to protect your organization against all the negative effects of these internal issues, and where there are benefits or opportunities that you can maximize, you maximize these opportunities. We will look at how to do all of that as we go along. Then determine the QMS boundaries and its applicability. You are allowed to clarify which processes and activities fall under the QMS, like I um, alluded to before. An example we have is an e-commerce company determines that its QMS will apply to its order fulfillment, customer support, and payment processes. Yeah, so it's exactly as the scope of the QMS is. This is expansive. So this is a high-level introduction of these four, let's say, areas of focus of the clause 4, context of the organization. Let's move on further to look at other areas. Now, importance of understanding the context. Yeah, when you are able to understand the context of your organization, i.e., when you are able to do all these four things, I stated earlier that the purpose of the context of the organization is to give you understanding of your business and what affects it. Yeah. Now, the importance of getting that understanding is this: it allows you to gain insights, it allows you to make effective decisions in your organization, it allows you to formulate a tailored approach to running your organization, and then it gives you a strong basis for compliance and risk management in your organization. For insights, yeah, for gaining insights about your organization, the context of the organization helps you understand your business environment better. You're able to understand or identify opportunities and challenges that can affect your business. I said this before, but let's look at an example. An airline company studies market trends, yeah, and customer feedback to identify growing demand for eco-friendly travel options. So an airline company having or documented the context of its organization is gaining insights about how customers relate to eco-friendly travel options. And this insight is gleaned from market trends that it is studying, customer feedback that it is collating, among others. So once these insights come forth, the company can now decide to invest in fuel efficient aircraft and promote sustainability initiatives. So they develop the context of the organization and they get a benefit of gaining insights from their operations and the feedback from their customers. And with the insights that they gain, they are able to take effective decisions or strategic decisions. That's the first importance of it. The second is effective decision making. Yeah, you get a clear picture of your context and it helps you make informed decisions and set relevant objectives. A lot of business organizations or business owners make decisions based on their whims and caprices. How they feel things should be done is how they go about making decisions. They don't make decisions based on any data driven approach or evidence. What they think should be done is what they do. The disadvantage of it is that because there is no science behind the decision, most of these decisions fail. When you implement ISO in your organization, you get to take effective decisions, and then the effective decisions, yeah, make positive impacts in the organization. An example we have here is a retail store analyzes demographic data and sales patterns to decide on the optimal product assortment for each location, tailoring its offering to meet local customer preferences. So, this initiative that this retail store is taking in this example is based on evidence, is based on data, is based on analysis that they have done. So implementing ISO gives you the platform to gather data, and with the data gathered, you're able to make evidence-based decisions. Okay, so let's look at tailored approach. Once you understand who your stakeholders or interested parties are and your QMS, you're able to tailor or you're able to formulate or modify your business operations to satisfy what these stakeholders are looking for. So a healthcare organization identifies the needs of the different patient groups. Yeah, when you go to a hospital, there are different sections: pediatrics, gynecology, and then the like. And the example here on the healthcare is saying they have been able to identify the various patient groups, and with this identification are able to adjust their services and how they deliver their services to satisfy all these patient groups, to have the necessary impact that they are looking for. Then compliance and risk management. ISO context of the organization helps you recognize the external factors and then the regulations that you need to comply with to manage risks in your organization most effectively. Yeah, I alluded to this earlier. The example we have is an insurance company closely monitoring the regulatory changes. Yeah, an insurance company closely monitoring the laws governing insurance in the country, and then changing or updating how it goes about its operations through updating its policies to ensure maximum compliance, and then to eliminate the risk of penalties. If you are an insurance company and then it comes out in the news that you are falling foul of meeting certain legal obligations and you are slapped with penalties and it's all over the news, it damages your reputation as an insurance company. All right, so these are the importance of running the ISO standard. Let's look at the stakeholders that I've been blabbering about all this while. Let's identify the most common stakeholders in every organization. Most organizations have different types of stakeholders, but the most common in almost every business organization are customers, suppliers, employees, regulatory authorities, and then shareholders or owners. We need to know who these stakeholders are, and we need to understand what these stakeholders are looking for from our business. And then we can be able to take plans to satisfy these stakeholders based on our understanding of what they want from our business. So, customers, who are customers, first of all? Customers are the individuals that receive or buy our products or services. Yeah, that is who our customers are. And it's important to identify the requirements and expectations of these customers. Um, the When you take a school, for instance, the customers are the parents. What are the parents looking for? The parents are looking for quality education for their awards. They are looking for the awards to pass their exams and progress through their levels of education. So once you understand what these customers are looking for, what do you have to do for these customers? You need to deliver quality education services that will have the impact on the wards or the children, so the parents can get satisfaction from the investment that they are making in their children. Another example we have here is a software company regularly collects feedback from its customers through surveys to understand their software preferences and expectations. So, a software company engages with its customers to understand what the customers are looking for, the impression of the customers concerning the software, so they can adjust and improve. If you're running an organization and you have not considered what your customers are looking for to be able to position the organization to meet their expectations, you are definitely failing. Then suppliers. Suppliers provide the inputs or resources that we need to run our organization. Suppliers are not only applicable in manufacturing organizations. We engage with suppliers in every level of business. All the things you use in your business, right from the pen, the paper, the chair you sit on, are provided by people who are outside your organization. You buy from them. So once you buy from them, they become your suppliers. You need to understand what these suppliers are looking for to be able to meet their expectation. Usually, suppliers are looking for um, very good payment terms. They are looking for feedback from you relative to what they delivered from you for you to you, so they can adjust their processes to meet your requirements better. If you pay your suppliers early, if you um, if you abide by the contracts that you sign with suppliers and you make your suppliers happy, they will be able to supply you quality. They supply the quality on time, so you are able to also use the supplies to meet your customers' needs on time without any delays. Employees are the people who work in your organization for salary or wage. They are looking for a safe working environment. They are looking for good salary that is paid on time. They are looking for security. They are looking for benefits that to guarantee their livelihood for themselves and then for their families. So if you understand what these needs of employees are, you can you can do enough through your human resource management framework to meet these needs. And once you meet employee needs, they also increase their productivity to deliver on your promise to your customers to satisfy them. Regulatory authorities, we touched on GRA. There is also SNET. There, depending on the industry that you operate in, you need permits or licenses to operate. Pharmacies need permits from the Pharmaceutical Council. Hospitals need authorization from the Ghana Health Service. If you are selling various imported products, it's beneficial if you have approval from Food and Drugs Authority, Ghana Standards Authority. These institutions exist to make sure that consumers are protected among a few other purposes. So you need to understand what these institutions are looking for, get the necessary permits from them, and then comply by the regulations that they would provide you. Then shareholders or business owners or investors, which are mostly ourselves, those of us who are into business on this platform. These people are looking to grow their investment, the return on their investments. They are looking for these returns. So if you are working or if you are running a business on behalf of a shareholder or the owner himself, you have to understand what the owner is looking for, and you have to be able to run the organization in a manner that will help the owners meet their expectation, or else you may be out of a job. Okay, so let's define the scope of our QMS. Let's define the scope of our QMS. In defining the scope of the QMS, we have to specify the boundaries of the QMS. The boundaries of the QMS. So let's take an example here. Say, let's say you are running a school. Okay, you have a school which you are operating, and you want to apply ISO 9001 in the school. When we say specify the boundaries of the QMS, what we mean is to define the various processes in the school which will have to change through ISO. We are looking at the various departments that will be affected by ISO. So probably in a school, we are looking at the HR department, you are looking at the academics department, you are looking at the finance or bursary department, and a few other departments, facilities, and all that. You have to identify which of these departments and which of their processes in these departments will be affected by this ISO standard. It's very key. So a construction company with areas like project management department, quality control, and safety have decided that they are excluding finance and HR from the ISO standard that they are applying. Like I said before, you need to have a very strong justification for this boundaries that are setting, so it becomes easily understandable. Then also, Consider exclusions if applicable. It says you should assess whether there are processes or activities that should be excluded from the system. From the system, a company I worked for in the past had some exclusions. Some institutions I've engaged with as well define some exclusions justifiably. An example we have here is a consulting firm determines that when they have internal meetings or brainstorming meetings, they don't really need to put these sessions under the umbrella of ISO 9001. They don't need to add it to the scope. What this practically means is that if in their organization, for every meeting that they have to record attendance, they have to take minutes, they have to document these minutes and all that. If that is what they do in every meeting in the organization, they are deciding that they are excluding brainstorming sessions where everybody comes to sit together and then think around an issue. They are deciding that they are not going to take minutes in for these meetings. They are not going to take attendance records of these meetings. It's just simple brainstorming sessions that they are having. So when you decide to do something like this in your organization, which is running ISO, what it means is that you have to write it as part of your processes. Yeah, we'll get to the writing and documentation bit down the line. You have to write it as part of your processes that in our organization, ABCD, for our meetings, we will always take minutes, we will always take attendance records. But for meetings that are for brainstorming, we won't do ABC. Yeah, once you have it documented like that, nobody's going to ask you any questions. That is how you have decided to carry out your operations in your organization. Then also, when you define the scope of your QMS, you're able to align all your organizational objectives. Yeah, we'll get to organizational objectives and all that so that we understand what objectives are. So it becomes clear to us that some of the things we write as objectives are not really objectives. We will understand what's the difference between a purpose, a target, a goal, objective, KPI, aim, and all those nitty gritties are. Yeah. So in aligning with your organizational objectives, the scope of your QMS allows you to align your objectives with your stakeholder expectations, what your stakeholders expect. Once you have identified the stakeholders, you are easily able to align the things or the objectives in your organization with what these stakeholders are looking for. So you are regularly compliant without any defaults or any violations. Okay, so there are internal factors that affect um, business organizations. There are external factors as well. When you know the internal and external factors that affect your organizations positively and negatively, you get to discover the risks that your organization faces, and then you get to discover opportunities that your organization can benefit from. So it's very key to have this done. Now, in analyzing your internal factors, you have to analyze your organizational culture. Yeah, you have to analyze your organizational culture. And then the culture of every organization differs. Some organizations believe in bribing public officials to get their way through. Some organizations don't have a problem with that because it's part of their values and belief systems, and it is actually an attitude that stems from the business owner most often. So they make provision in their budgets for these kind of inducements. Some organizations as well frown against these practices, so they have anti-bribery and anti-corruption policies and systems in place to mitigate against these practices by their employees. So, in analyzing the internal factors that affect your organization. You have to understand what your organization values. Yeah, you have to list your organizational values, what you believe in, and then all the attitudes that pertain in the organization. Once you discover this or once you document this, you can scope out the risks that are associated with each of these culture points. And then if there are any opportunities that you can maximize from these culture points, you can benefit from them. So an example is a technology company promotes a culture of innovation and continuous learning, encouraging employees to experiment with new ideas and technologies. This is a positive organizational culture that has a lot of opportunities that a company can benefit from. So at the end of this internal and external factor analysis, you have to write them down. You have to really write them down. We will figure out how to get this writing down done along the line, but it's very imperative that you make time to write all these things. Now, resources and capabilities. As part of analyzing the internal and external factors that affect your organization, you need to assess the available resources in your organization, including infrastructure, including technology, human resource, financial capacity. You need to understand all these you need to understand all these resources, and like I said, an understanding of these resources and capabilities of your organization will help you flesh out the risks that potentially exist, will help you flesh out the opportunities that you can maximize for the benefits of your organization. All these, like I said earlier on, have to be written down properly. Then internal factors allows you to analyze your strengths and then your weaknesses. It's part of SWOT analysis, but we are focusing on only the internal ones, which are strengths and weaknesses. In analyzing the internal factors affecting the organization, you do the strength and weakness analysis. Once you discover what your strengths are, obviously you have to take steps to maximize these strengths and make them become competitive advantages for your organization. Once they become competitive advantages, you make them the basis for your marketing messages that you put across to the market. And you build on it to outwit your competition. And then you can definitely, if there is any proprietary related to it, you can get some copyright protection in place and then maximize this to be your unique selling point. Then, if there are weaknesses that you discover in your strength and weakness analysis, if there is a weakness, definitely you need to take steps to eliminate the weakness or reduce the impact of the weakness. And once you do that, yet again, it becomes an opportunity for growth in your organization. All these have to be written. All these have to be written. You can't think them through and then just leave them in your mind. You have to write them properly. And the documentation is a key area we will look at down the line. All right. Now, we've looked at internal factors. Let's consider the just a second. All right. We'll look at the external factors pretty shortly. I think I've skipped a few of the slides. But then let's continue to determine the QMS boundaries and applicability. In defining the boundaries and applicability of your QMS standard, the first thing you have to do is to map out relevant processes. Yeah, you have to map out or identify or document the relevant processes. You have to assess the impacts of these processes on the organization. If there are processes in the organization that you have to outsource, you'd have to think about doing so. And then you are able to clearly document these boundaries and then work within the boundaries. So let's look at mapping out relevant processes. And the first thing is to identify key processes and activities that contribute to the delivery of your product or services. Yeah, the key processes and activities that contribute to the delivery of your products and services. Every business has some key things that they do. Yeah, every business has some key things that they do. If we allowed for some initial preliminary contributions from the business owners on this platform, we will be able to identify some of them. But let's take this example and then look at a pharmacy. A pharmacy. A pharmacy will have key processes like um, interviewing the walking buyer to understand what he or she needs as a key process. So, customer engagement, key process. Then the second process will be to identify drug location as a key process. If there is the need to consult a senior pharmacist in the facility for guidance or for advice to the buyer, that could also be done as a key process. When you go to a hospital, you walk to the records section. That is the first process or first key process in the hospital. Understanding who the patient is. Is she a new patient? Is he an old patient? What insurance is the patient on? Is the patient paying cash? Is the patient record with us? And all that. So that's knowing me, knowing you, KYC process in the hospital is the first bit of it. Well, it may not be the first bit of it, depending on the level of emergency. And then also you go to the see the nurse. The nurse will take your vitals as another key process before the nurse directs you to which consulting room to go to. So all these steps are key processes in hospital operations. For your organization, you need to know what these key processes are. If you don't know what these key processes are, and if you don't list these key processes and describe these key processes, it becomes a struggle for you to define the boundaries of
It's
your
1 o'clock.
organization, and then it becomes difficult for you to satisfy your customers in a manner that they are expecting. All right. Now, after identifying these key processes, the next step is to know the level of impact of these key processes to your operations. Yeah, this is what we do. We start from here, we go there, we go there. Yeah, they are all contributory processes to the operations in the hospital. But then the question is that we need to really understand the impact of these processes on the organization. By impact of these processes, we need to know the significance of these processes. Are these processes that are necessary to still be done within the organization, or they are processes that we can outsource to third-party providers? If we outsource these processes to third-party providers, how protected are we? How expensive is it going to be for us? Let me give an example. So an institution like a hospital, like the example I was citing, may decide that they don't need to have an accounts department in house. They don't need to have an HR department in house. They don't need to have maybe a records department in house. So, what they are going to focus on is only seeing the patients and then giving the patients medication as may be necessary. So, they are going to virtually engage an outside organization or third party organization to be their HR. they are going to engage an external accountant to manage their accounts for them and all that. What makes this possible is their ability to understand their organization, their ability to understand the relevant processes in the organization, their ability to value the significance of each of these processes, and then their ability to decide which of these processes they are going to do in-house and which of these they are going to outsource to external agencies or bodies. All right. So that is with point two, assessing the impact of these processes. With point three, which is consider outsourcing, which I've just explained, you are able to evaluate if any of these processes are outsourced and how they fit within the QMS framework. Yeah. So a better example we have is a health organization or a hospital outsources its laundry services to a third party laundry service provider. So instead of having a laundry facility in the hospital, they decide that they are going to engage an external laundry to collect their soiled fabrics and all that, and clothing and all that, to clean and return to them for use for a fee without the expense of setting up a whole laundry in the hospital. All right. So, point four, document QMS boundaries. Clearly define and communicate the boundaries of your QMS to ensure everyone understands its coverage. Yeah. Once you do all this, you have to properly document the boundaries of your QMS to detail the scope. You have to clearly define and communicate the boundaries of your QMS. An example we have here is a consulting firm clearly defines the boundaries by specifying that it covers project management, client communication, and quality control. And once these boundaries have been defined, what you have to do is document, communicate to the internal and external stakeholders in your business organization. All right. This will be our last slide before we invite questions. So, all of the things we discussed today have benefits. They have benefits. Some of these we have looked at previously from a different perspective. Having the context of your organization properly established, documented, communicated will allow you make better informed decisions in your organization. You make decisions based on facts, based on data, based on evidence that is verifiable, and not based on intuition or anybody's whims. That is a benefit of understanding the context of your organization. The context is understanding your business, the internal environment of your business, and then the external environment of your business is very necessary. Then, if a business understands its context within which it operates, and then it documents and does everything necessary, you are able to enhance customer satisfaction. You are able to satisfy your customers better. You are able to get feedback from your customers and then modify your operations to meet what these customers are expecting. Then effective risk management. Well, once you identify the external factors and then the internal factors that affect your business, you are able to, what do I say, identify the risks with all these factors and then manage these risks appropriately. You are also able to improve the allocation of resources in your organization. You know which areas of your business are more significant than others and are able to deploy resources to the various areas of your business depending on their significance. Significance determined by the level of impact they have on satisfying your customers. You have to be able to do all of that. Then tailored quality objectives once again. You don't set objectives for your business when you don't understand the internal workings of the business wholly. You may understand certain sections of it, but without putting together a standard or a framework like ISO that allows you to do this internal analysis properly, you may leave out certain parts. The same apply to the external analysis. There may be some external stakeholders that you should consider, that you should satisfy. If you do not do the internal and external environment analysis, you may miss out on a lot. And once you miss out on them, certain objectives for your business to meet these external and internal stakeholder requirements will be flawed. Will be flawed. So this is what we have for clause 4 of the ISO standard. I tell you, you have to really document everything. Some of you may not understand what the documentation for ISO is. So, along the line, we will introduce concepts, we'll introduce documentation samples, we'll introduce methodologies for putting together some of these documentation so that everything you've heard will be more practical, will be more tailor made to your businesses. So that is what we have for you for today. If you have any questions, please share them so we get them answered. Thank you. Any questions, you can either post them into the chat or you can speak them out. All right. All right, Mr. Dauda, you can have the floor. You can unmute yourself and then speak out.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, the presentation is very insightful, and I believe you make the slides available to us.
Yes, yes, I will do that. I will do that right
Uh,
after this discussion.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other? All right. I'll take it that we have been well informed from our discussion today, and we will be able to apply the concepts of everything we've learned in our businesses to support the growth that we all desire. I will share the slides from this discussion across to allow you the opportunity to read through and then gather some more insights. A recording of this session will also be availed to you, so you can replay and then catch up on anything that you possibly would have missed. We will have a subsequent session, sorry, in the next few days. I will communicate the timelines so you can join us when it's all set. Thank you very much for spending your time with us this afternoon. Have a good day. Bye.